This video is going to show you Solo Grandmaster Nightfall getting Platinum rank on the Inverted Spire this week. Also showing you how to farm it, solo farm it in a fashion, as it's a really easy Grandmaster and you can do it in quick clears. So if you need to farm up Ascendant Shards for next season, it's a good week to do it, because there's not many weeks left. So yeah, it's very good. And obviously there's going to be Arms Dealer, that'll be a good farm, but this week's an exceptional farm. Now I'm on a Hunter obviously, but I've done it with a twist and with Arcstrider. Now there's a lot of misconceptions out there about this class, whether it be good, bad, mediocre, sometimes good, sometimes not. People just don't understand this super at all, and I can tell you why. I believe there's a lot of Destiny 2 players that didn't play in 2017. 2017 to before pre-Forsaken, that's when Arcstrider really shone. Everyone knew how to use it in endgame stuff, and it was used a lot. But a lot of players quit in 2017, and a lot of those players aren't playing today. We now have a lot of newer players when they joined after Forsaken or Beyond Light when next gen consoles come out, or when Witch Queen came out. So there's a lot of new players, and there's no incentive to play Arcstrider, is what I'm saying, right, for the newer players. But for us veteran players, we understand that it was a good super at the time, and actually the best super in the game pre-Forsaken. Like outright, it was the best super in the game. To go back to Prestige Leviathan, right? Prestige Leviathan Throne room. You could solo that room with the entire super. It lasts so long, obviously with Raiden Flux. There's other times when it's shone. Prestige Nightfalls, not Grandmasters, they were called Prestige Nightfalls. Generally you had 3 people run these, or maybe a Tether, 1 Tether, 2 Arc Staffs. Insane, it was the meta. Now it's not, because the game's changed a lot, but obviously we're going to get Arc 3.0 coming up, so this is why I'm using this super beforehand, so it gives you a little taste of what it's like. Hopefully they don't nerf its damage, because its damage is insane. Very good. It's a high risk, high reward type deal though. That's the thing, it's a monk style class. Think of it as a monk. So it's melee based, its super is melee based, all its perks are surrounding melee based stuff. As I say, that's going to change because we have a lot more fragments and stuff and aspects to deal with when Arc 3.0 comes out. But as of now, I'm using Top Tree, which is the better tree to use for super because it increases damage. Raiden Flux increases the damage massively and makes it last a long time. So you're going to see how it can stun lock certain enemies, right? So I made a video about this the other day there, or what it can do to champions. Bear in mind I'm solo, I'm on my own. So just bear that in mind. Imagine with 3 people. Because a lot of people don't play solo on the Grandmasters. Generally they play in teams. So I'm trying to showcase this super as best as I can. And what better way to do it than solo. So if you can take out champs solo with this super, then that says a lot for it. So this is the first main room, right? We're using Outbreak Perfected as our anti-barrier weapon. Vouchsafe as our unstoppable scout, because it's void. There's a couple of void shields, so that's why I've got that on. And then we've got Stormchaser, because acute burn is on arc, so we may as well take advantage of that and use a arc heavy weapon. Always try to match your weapons in the best possible light when you're doing Grandmaster Nightfalls. A lot of people are getting a little still confused about this acute burn thing. Like, just forget the word acute. I think that word is confusing people. It's just arc burn. Like D1 days, arc burn, solar, void, that stuff's on now. It's working properly. It's not a singe, it's a proper burn where you really need to incorporate a burn into your loadout depending on what Grandmaster that you are doing. So if it's Arms Dealer, it's solar. If it's Warden and Nothing, it's void, I think. I actually can't remember. No, it's solar. So yeah, you get the picture. You just need to match the burns. That's why stasis is in a weird spot, because there's no stasis burn on GMs, and they probably need to do that. Make a GM with a stasis burn on it. They definitely need to do that. So this first room, how I'm going to deal with this with arc staff. There's many ways of doing this, but I'm going to try and show the super in best possible light. I'm going to try and show you what it's like on champs. So we'll go down below first, and then we're going to deal with these 2 champions with our super only. We'll get us a stop first, dodge, super dodge, and then generally the combination that you want to do. I messed up a couple of combinations there, but he's light, heavy. So dodge, light, light, heavy. You'll see the move in a minute. So that attack, when it does the palm, and it's sort of a ranged attack, that is the most powerful attack with Arcstrider. What also happened there is it was staggering the champs. It was stopping the champions from putting up their shield. Obviously, with unstops, it's a little different. You need to get a stun first, then pop super, so that you're getting the damage that you want on that champ. But for barriers, you don't need a barrier rounds. Just pop a super. It's incredible. If there was 3 barriers, which there never is 3 barriers clustered up, but if there was, I could kill 3 barriers on my own solo. No barrier rounds needed. Providing that that the champ is full HP, because the champ needs to be full HP really. If the champ's like a third, there's a chance that the barrier will come up before you pop your super or something. So in other words, don't even touch the barriers at all. Pop super when barriers are full HP. Get right on top of them, and it'll stop them from putting their shield up. I mean, what is better than that? The problem is, though, the reason why people don't want to use this type of supers in Grandmasters is because it's you're getting meleeed, and Grandmaster adds, in my opinion, do too much damage to you from a melee. So it really desensitizes. It puts you off from using shotguns, sidearms, SMGs, or close quarter stuff. And I think they need to tone down the melee damage. If they do that, you're going to see people want to use high risk, high reward stuff more often. Because right now everyone's just saying, what's the point? Just run linears and rockets. Well, that's so boring to me. It's like, I love linears, I love rockets, but I don't use them for my rest of my days. Okay, I don't want to play 2 to 3 years extra of just Stormchaser for the next 2 years. I don't want that. Destiny's meant to be a game where you're switching out your loadout continuously, trying out new stuff all the time, not just sitting on one loadout. And there's a lot of players that are doing that really lately, and it's sort of like they're not that good of a player. People who do that, where they just stick to one loadout, aren't a good player. A good player is somebody who can play on any class at any time, do anything with them, play all the weapons, right? Be mastered of all the exotics, be aware of all the perks in the game, how they work when you're actually using them, how do you use them in practice, and stuff like this. If you're just sitting on Izanagi's Bird and Divinity or Stormchaser or stuff like that, then you are just that player. You're only good this meta. What about the next meta that comes up and the next one after that? You're no good, because you're not accustomed to other playstyles. You're only mastered on one. And this is what I try and get through to people, is you need to be continually mastering everything that comes out. If you play this game properly, then you will do that. If you're more casual and you know that you are, and you haven't got the time, then that's different. That's not their fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying people who have a lot of time, because there's a lot of players on this playing hours and hours of time. You see them in the tower with high kill counts on their guns. It's like, what are they doing? Well, they've been off because of COVID. They're playing Destiny all the time. Well, why aren't they mastering shit in the game? Instead of just sitting on one class. Voidwalker, Current Vessel. Like, start to, as I say, use different things. You'll get better. And you'll feel better for it as well. And you won't get as tired with the game. So I'm just going to take the barriers from a distance here, because I'm going to use my super for the next section. I want to use that instead. So my thought process is, here is, don't take the unstoppable, because the barriers will be having to multitask with the unstoppable and me, which means I can deal with the barriers easier, as opposed to if the unstoppable's dead, then all that's happening there is both barriers are fixated on me, and there's a chance of dying. There's a higher chance. If you know how to play this section properly, then you won't. Like you can see here, I'm sort of having this ledge area as my cover, because the sniper just keeps hitting the ledge in front of me, so my positioning wins obviously on this automatically, but it's a little easier if you leave the unstoppable up, as you can see. We'll deal with the unstop last. That's that dealt with. The section before, if you don't tag the unstoppable and the ads kill the champ, it won't count. If you don't get any tag at all. If you tag the champ at least once, it'll count for platinum. I'll talk more about that as well as we go along with the platinum thing, because this run's going to be a completion, because I figured let's just get Inverted Spire done out the way instead of me just keep going to Orbit, because we've only got a couple of weeks of the season left, so I just want to get this one. I think I've done all the play testing I've wanted to do with this particular GM, and a lot of the others as well. It's same for Warden. I'm going to pick one more de facto loadout for it. Same for Arms Dealer. Just finish them off. Corrupted still to do, which I'm saving that. I am fully aware I haven't done that one yet, but I'm saving it. So expect that to come, just not as of yet. If you want to see how to do Corrupted, there's plenty of videos up there on how to do it anyways. So what we're going to do here is use a super, because there's Archmages, Ultras if you like. I'm waiting on a nade though. I wanted to use my nade first. I haven't talked too much about the nade. It's Flux Grenade. Flux Grenade is such a weird grenade since they reworked it. So, but we've still got super here. This is what my strategy is. I'm just going to actually use my super to clear out the one Archmage and a champ. That's a super well spent. If we talk about when supers are getting well spent, like in terms of like hammers or any Roman supers, if you can deal with a lot of stuff in that super, then that's a super well spent. I've just cleared out two major targets that are not close to each other with one super. So that's a well spent super. It's done a lot for me. So yeah, that's exceptional. That even without a Q arc burn, this super would be able to kill barriers. I'm certain on that, because you're stun locking the champ with the melee. Okay, this super stun locks champions and ultras and stuff. Bosses to a degree as well. It doesn't fully stun lock them, but it kind of does. The more of you that there is, the more likely you'll just stun lock. Like if you've got 3 Arcstriders, you're just going to stun lock a boss to the heavens, essentially. And you're going to see a lot of that. I predict that Hunter Arcstriders might be the best subclass, unless they do something drastically with Chaos Reach. Then that'll be the best. Thunder Crash is already good. I'm not really including that because I hope they don't touch the Thunder Crash too much, as in super damage, you know. But if anything, just let us build craft with T-Crash, because it's not good for anything else. It's just good for its super. Which that's what a lot of people have said about Arcstrider. But I say, well, people are running T-Crash, and the super's the only good thing about it, and they're happy enough with that. So I think Arcstriders should be happy enough if their super does one job excellent and everything else average. I think you should be happy with that, because it is a super focused setup. However, having said that, dungeon play, the punch dodge setup with Assassin's Cowl is insane. Yeah, I've explained you can't use it in Grandmasters so much because, like, you take too much melee damage. So it's not a subclass problem, it's a Grandmaster activity problem. The sandbox of the activity isn't tuned right. Not so much the subclass. Although the subclasses for Arc do need rework. That's why we're getting Arc 3.0 coming up. So obviously, I'm hoping it'll be good. I hope it will. So we're baiting this barrier over here. If you didn't know, you can take the barrier champ from up here. You just need to wait, shoot the floor, aggro the champ, he'll come, and you can just kill him from up top. Very easy. This makes this a lot easier as opposed to jumping down, because there's 2 cleavers and they're going to melee you to death. You can do it, you can jump down. It's not too much of a problem. I'm just showing you how to make your life easier. That's what I do with a lot of these runs. Is sometimes I'm not looking to demonstrate what I can do, but just to demonstrate an easy life, that type thing, for people, because that's what gets more attention. Unless I've set myself up for some goal or something where I'm doing something for me as opposed to the viewer. It just depends. This is more just to showcase this super off in Grandmasters and just to show you the clear, really. That's all. We're going to kill this unstoppable. You don't need to kill this unstop. You can do the exploit. If you don't know how to do that, you just jump around the back of the building. And you can hide behind the back of the building. And you don't need to do anything. You don't need to kill the unstoppable. This one, anyways, for platinum, you have an opportunity to skip one champ you can pick. So you could pick this one. I generally do. But for this case, I just want you to kill the champ with the super. Again, just to show you a bit of damage with it. We're going to just jump on this ledge here. Means the dogs can't hit us, and we can just wait for 100%, and then just skip to the next section. Pretty simple. Another reason why I don't kill the dogs is because you get more spawns. You get the Cabal Ultra and all that stuff. All that stuff you don't need. There's no extra champs either for plat, so you don't need to do this. You don't even need to kill the unstoppable, but I did anyways. So just watch the Void backpack. If you go for the teleporter soon, the backpack will be right on top of you, and you could boop you into a wall. So just be careful of that. It's just an unstoppable to take. A couple of Void shields. This is another reason why we've got a Void Scout on. Is just to deal with stuff like that. Because if I didn't have a Void Scout on, I'll be wasting heavy on like Minotaurs and stuff. At times when you don't want to use heavy. All right. We're going to bait. We're going to aggro and de-aggro this champ. We can do that by hiding as the unstoppable regains his footing, if you like. Once he's unstunned and starts to chase you, if you hide, that champ forgets where you are. So it's just a bit of a manipulation tactic. That's all we're doing. I'm just killing the champ in more phases to save on heavy, just in case as a failsafe. That's as a failsafe if I didn't get heavy, but you can see I got a brick there. But say I didn't. I have actually done a run where I didn't get any heavy at all. Not one brick dropped from here towards the end of the boss. I ended up going with the boss to like 4 bullets of my heavy. And that ends up being a wipe. Because you haven't got the ammo to deal with the situation. You then probably need a super to kill ads, which otherwise you wouldn't use a super on the ads. So then it just forces this whole other dynamic at the boss. Right, so this boss is real easy, but if you haven't got ammo, it's actually a very difficult boss fight. For you to do this boss legit and not like melting the boss down, it's actually a difficult boss fight because there isn't many places to hide. And it's 3 floors, of course, but obviously, as we know, it's not the case. As long as you have got some ammo, I mean, I went with max. I would recommend you need at least 15. 10 shots is really cutting it. You can get away with 10 shots if you save a super for the boss. But I didn't, because there's some champs coming up and I want to use it on the champs. You can see the approach I've just took there. I'm just scouting all the ads down. You can actually do a lot of damage from up here. So I'm just showing you that alternative. If you don't want to jump down here, you can actually just take the unstop from right up top, like you just saw me do. We'll take the Void backpacks out because when we run past, they can actually do a lot of damage to you. So make sure that you take them out when you run past the ads, because we're going to do that in a minute once we kill this unstop. Again, you could skip this unstop if you wanted to. I just don't know how far the unstop would chase you to the next section. So I don't know. But you could technically, if you have not skipped the transit champ, you can skip this one. Because as I said, you've got 1-3 token to skip whatever champ you want. You will still get plat. It's just a mechanic in the game. Some are 2, some are less. Just depends. But it is easy to take them all out anyways, all the champs. I'm just stating the fact that you can skip. There's a lot of champs that you can. So that barrier is easy to deal with if you just fight from this ledge. It changes the gameplay. If you're down below, like on this pathway, it's a lot harder because the sounds will boop you in the air. You could hit the turbine, the grinder thing. The barrier is a nightmare to deal with down here, but whereas on that ledge, it's totally easy. So it's all about positioning. Wherever you stand changes everything. I've got a super, so I'm going to use it on these barriers and save myself some time. These barriers are actually a pain. Can be when you're dealing with them. But I could have took them with Outbreak, because Outbreak's a fantastic weapon. We all know this. I haven't given too much commentary on that weapon in this run because I think most people know how good it is, just in general. Especially when it's barrier pulse, it is the best pulse in the. When it's barrier pulse, it's the best pulse in the game, hands down. Better than any other pulse for barriers. Obviously, I know that there's adaptive munitions on the kinetic pulse. That's amazing as well, before someone says, oh, well, that's good. It is. It's a 2-round burst shot, but it's not as good as Outbreak, because Outbreak does really good on adds and nanite damage and all that stuff. Just depends if you've got the catalyst or not. The catalyst does make a little bit of difference. So we're charged with light notice, because we got an elemental well before. So I'm just going to punch these harpies. Because if I kill them with a finisher or a melee, I keep my damage bonus, because I've got high energy fire on, right? So I get a 20% damage bonus, and I've got Frenzy on my Stormchaser, and it's a cute arc burn. So all those 3 things, they stack together, making this boss fight easy. So we're just going to do some shots. We'll do a Flux Grenade as well. Does massive damage. I can't tell you how good Flux Grenades is. The problem with them is how you throw them is crazy. Like, they throw in a straight line. They're like no other grenade. I haven't used Fluxes for ages, and when I tried them I was like, what is this? It's like they just throw in a straight line. They don't have any arc to them really. They're on a longer cooldown as opposed to the rest of the grenades. Very powerful, the Flux Grenade, but it's on a longer cooldown. We'll see what the Flux Grenade's like in Arc 3.0, but I hope there's some sort of Flux Grenade build, maybe Titan wise, Armentarium or something like that, because Titans are going to be able to use Flux Grenades and Warlocks, because you'll have all arc grenades available to each class. So it's going to be interesting that way. So we're just doing damage with Stormchaser on one of those pillars. You can see the strat. Obviously, just take him down as much as possible till he's immune. Then we're going to generate another elemental well here. Notice it's void. Doesn't matter. I know it's void, but I'm going to still get high energy fire because I've got elemental charge on. We melt down those adds as quickly as possible. Pick up the elemental well with charge of light. That's great. It just means I'm doing more damage here. We're going to get him to the boss at the very least to a 3rd HP, or just above. I wasn't sure exactly amount of HP. I couldn't remember, because if you do too much damage, basically you get 2 phases of adds. Whereas I only want 1 phase of adds, because we're going to melt the boss on this after this phase. Because there's actually another 2 phases after what I'm doing right here, but we're just going to melt the boss down after this particular phase. In other words, I'm happy doing a 3rd of HP, but any more than that with just Stormchaser and the Super, it's not enough damage, because the adds will collapse you before you kill the boss. So that's all I'm saying. He's do another phase. I'm going to use a bit of Stormchaser here, take down the Harpy Shields, arc. A lot of the adds push on this phase, but there's a couple that don't. These heads were broken off these goblins. I was actually surprised. I didn't notice that. That could have wiped me there. Because the boss, he does that arc blinding attack, and it really does hit you hard. Even with tier 10 resilience, which I have got on this Arc Hunter, believe it or not. However, my stats aren't very good in any other element. My stats are really bad on the Hunter, I'm not going to lie. See, the problem for me with Hunter is I've done a lot of crafting for recovery discipline for such a long time. And then it was Hunter invisibility or strength builds. Then resilience stat changed, so I had to build up for a Blade Barrage. I haven't got a set for Arc 3.0, I'm not going to lie. So the Hunter, I feel, is the worst to spec for stat-wise. I think the Titan seems to be the best. Titan Warlock-ish. Hunter just seems to be the worst, because without certain stats, like without a high mobility, Hunter doesn't feel good. Whether there's class restoration or not, I'm not on about class restoration, I'm just on about in general. A low mobility Hunter is bad. A low recovery Hunter is bad. A low discipline Hunter is bad. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm sort of, stat-wise, I'm a little annoyed lately with what... I'm not annoyed, it's just a case of I just haven't got all the armour that I want for what's going to be for Arc 3.0 and stuff. Just everything's changed. Everything we knew changed, stat-wise, so everyone's having to re-spec out for armour and stuff. So we cleared that final ad, but what we done there was we broke the head off the goblin so the goblin would push me. Then I got an elemental well off the ad. Then we're going to use Stormchaser. We got hit by the boss's attack, which was not ideal. I just wanted to use as much Stormchaser as possible. Then I'm going to pop super. Right, then we'll do a dodge, light, heavy, and then just keep doing that. And the boss will die. As long as you play good enough with that, you'll get him on that farm phase. That was a solo Grandmaster showing you how to farm this Nightfall with Arcstrider. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.